Where are the low-value men?
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site. You can believe that. You can believe that. You can believe that.
Contracted COVID, but says with a mixture of medicines, including the controversial horse dewormer that has poisoned hundreds of people nationwide, he's now recovered.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
From the headlines to the whisper star, low value mail, low value mail at 9 o'clock. We're truth fiction, take a walk.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Our stories are.
What's up, Scroats? Welcome back to an all-new episode of Low Value Mail on this Monday, August 25th, 2025. 25. What does it all mean? Whatever happened to the numerology guy? Remember we had a guy, I think it was Chris. I think his name was Chris. He used to call in all the time. Big numerology guy. Probably got hit by a truck. Didn't see that coming, huh? Ha! All right. Anyways, it is episode number 158 of Low Value Mail. Joining me today, this is maybe one of the coolest guests we've ever had on the show. And that says a lot. This guy is a trip. And he's going to be joining me. I'm going to be joined in the second hour, which is 1 hour from now, by none other than Howard Bloom. Howard Bloom, if you don't know him, he's an author whose books include The Muhammad Code, How I Accidentally Started the 60s, The Genius of the Beast, Global Brain, The Lucifer Principle, and we will be discussing his newest book, The Case of the Sexual Cosmos, How Everything You Know About Nature is Wrong. Howard was also, in a past life, a music publicist in the 70s and 80s, working with some of the biggest acts in the world, the likes of Prince, Billy Joel, Michael Jackson, AC/DC, Bob Marley, many more. He's appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience and is a regular on Coast to Coast, and he will be joining us very shortly. Before I get started, subscribe and like the channel, like the stream, subscribe to the channel. Get me to 10,000 subscribers for the love of Christ. Also, if you want to support the show, you can drop a super chat. Sign up on the channel, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. If we hit 20 super chats, I'll do an extra 30 minutes of open lines. Also, little note. Again, this only applies to very few of you. If you say something when you call in, I take every call. Should you say something when you call in, and this goes for anybody that gets the episode demonetized, you shall receive a caller ban. And on that note, Slav has received his second strike. This time 4 weeks. Strike 3 is final. So I'm sure he'll be in the chat. But anyways, because it's really fucking up my channel. I'm not going to lie. And one day I'm going to lose my channel, and then the show's going to be over. So let's get to it. President Trump today signed an executive order to criminalize some forms of flag burning. Not all of them. If you haven't caught it, there's some people are fucking losing their minds over this shit. And I really don't know how to feel about this. I'm not going to lie. Maybe it's the Canadian in me, which is a protected class. I'll get to that, but not technically a protected class. But I was reading up on all this discrimination stuff, and you can't, like, if you just hired, like, I think it's maybe only for labor laws, but if you fire someone because they're Canadian in America, you can get sued for it. It's incredible. What a country this is. But so Trump signed an executive order titled Prosecuting Burning of the American flag today. This is what, the 900th executive order he signed. Interesting note, by the way, I didn't know this. Joe Biden tried to pass something similar in 1995, and Hillary Clinton also did in 2006. Neither were successful, though, because Donald Trump gets shit done. If you can say anything about Donald Trump, is that the dude gets shit done, okay? And obviously the Supreme Court ruled on this matter, I believe in 1989, that burning the flag is protected speech. You are allowed to burn a flag. And also don't worry, because should you want to buy a flag and burn it in your backyard for some reason, you are still completely within your right to do so. This does not affect you. This whole thing made me think that two things, actually. The Bill Hicks joke where someone was like, yeah, my daddy died for this flag. And you're like, really? I bought mine. But also there's a really funny Mr. Show sketch where there's these people want to shit on flags, and then they invent this flag that you just can't shit on. It's like this super secret technology where the moment you try and shit on this flag, you just become constipated. You can't shit on it. Maybe Palantir is working on something like that. This is from the executive order. Notwithstanding the Supreme Court's rulings on First Amendment protections, the court has never held that American flag desecration conducted in a manner that is likely to incite imminent lawless action, or that is an action accounting to fighting words, is constitutionally protected. My administration will act to restore respect and sanctity to the American flag and prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate our laws while desecrating the symbol of our country to the fullest extent permissible under any available authority. And I think they're trying to they're saying you're going to get a year in jail for a little flag burning. Obviously, if it falls under the classifications. Again, if you want to just burn a flag in your backyard, you are free to do so. Essentially, burning an American flag during some kind of protest that is meant to incite violence is now illegal. Obviously, that's fairly vague. Also, the phrase otherwise violate our laws while desecrating the symbol of our country seems important here, because you can't just start fires in public areas, right? Like you can't just walk out on the street. I'm here near 8th Avenue, New York City. You can't just walk out and just start a fire. I mean, homeless people do it all the time, but they don't have to abide by the same laws that you and I have to abide by. But technically, you or I cannot just go start a fire. That's illegal, right? So they won't even have to prove you're inciting violence. They're just gonna be like, yeah, you're lighting a flag on fire in public. That's a crime in and of itself. Boom, 1 year in jail. And now, this is obviously mostly targeted at non-U.S. citizens, but it's probably, you will see some U.S. citizens kind of who, hate Trump. Like, think of all those fucking people who go over to Trump Towers and just give a finger to Trump Towers and go, fuck you, building. You fucking building. I hate you, you building. Right? But they're now going to burn the flag in defiance. And if it is not on their property, I can't imagine Trump's going to go super easy on them. So you will see just a bunch of real chunky, weird haircut ladies getting a year in the clink for a little flag desecration. But again, this is mostly for non-U.S. citizens, is what it seems like. Also from the executive order, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of Homeland Security, acting within their respective authorities, shall deny, prohibit, terminate, or revoke visas, residence permits, naturalization proceedings, and other immigration benefits, or seek removal from the United States pursuant to federal law, including 8, blah, 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 blah. They're all just a bunch of numbers. Whenever there has been an appropriate determination that foreign nationals have engaged in American flag desecration activity under circumstances that permit the exercise of such remedies pursuant to federal law. How does that... Now, what about a cookie? What if you're like, I ate a flag cookie? Is that... I know it's obviously not the same as a flag, but you're like, I'm eating the flag. What if you just ate a flag? Can you eat the flag? Is it only fire that we care about? Can you I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess you wouldn't like cut it up to make a bunch of decorations. Can you rip a flag? Like, are there tiers to this type of desecration? Like, you know what I mean? I know there's a process if a flag gets torn, like by the wind, because it's been up too long. They have a way to officially retire the flag. But like, there's got to be like many ways you can desecrate a flag, I guess. Is it up for interpretation? Is intent a big part of this? I don't know. Really, Trump's just going after a bunch of leftist protesters, which he has had a hard-on for since he got in office. Sucks to be them. But, you know, at the same time, you're like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Obviously, I'm not like, I would never do such a thing as a guest in this lovely country. I would never. You would never catch me. I love this country. I'm not. If I saw someone burning a flag, I would go get some water. I would put that thing out. That's what I would do. I go, your flag's on fire, patriot. And, you know, he wants to revoke visas, green cards, kick people out. Again, not citizens out of the country for burning an American flag. I don't like... Again, I'm like, there's a part of me, I go, this seems heavy-handed, but then also, why would you want these people here? Like, why would you invite people into your country? Now, if you're an American citizen, you probably don't even have a passport. Half of you don't even have passports. You have nowhere you can go. I guess they could send you to Uganda now, which is hilarious that Uganda made a deal with the United States where they go, hey, if there's any people, you have any riffraff illegal aliens you kind of can't take, we'll take them. Like, that's the new punishment, is you just go to Uganda. And there's people from Uganda being like, it's not that bad here. You know, it is. It's so bad that some people are like, you want to go to Seacot or Uganda? And some people are like, I guess Seacot. I think that dude, Kilmer Abrego Garcia, the Maryland resident, that was what he was offered, is go to Costa Rica or go to Uganda. But I think he was, I think there was like, he was going to have to do jail time in Costa Rica, whereas Uganda, I think he still has to be in solitary confinement until they can deport him. And he's like, yeah, I'll go. I guess I'll go to Uganda. It seems like Costa Rica would be better. Speak the language and all that. I know a lot of you, I haven't looked at the chat, but I know a lot of you are saying, oh yeah, of course, it's the U.S. flag now. But burning the Israel flag is next. Although I looked it up, because I've seen that a lot online. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, next up, burning the Israel flag. No one's ever actually been arrested specifically for burning. You can burn Israeli flags. However, several people have been charged for offenses related to doing that, like stealing a flag from someone and then lighting it on fire, and then they charge them with theft of the flag or arson, things to that nature. But you can burn, because I know some of you have a lot of Israeli flags that you've been itching to burn, and you're just wondering, and guess who sells the Israeli flags to you? Can you hear that, audio listeners? Can you hear that? I'm rubbing my hands together. But if you want to burn an Israeli flag, you can burn an Israeli flag on your own property. That belongs to you. Everyone on the right I've seen a million times today. They've been like, they've been using the LGBT flag as an example for why they are okay with this new law. And again, I don't know how to feel about this. I'm not going to lie. And again, no, and I'm sure some of you have LGBT flags that you would like to burn as well. And you're not sure if you can do it. You're like, is this illegal now? You can totally do it. Also, guess who's selling you those LGBT flags to burn? Can you hear that, audio listeners? I'm rubbing my hands together again. But you can burn them. You can burn an LGBT flag in your backyard. Totally legal. Nobody's going to stop you. Your neighbors might think you're a closeted homosexual. They might think that. They go, hey, I think our neighbor might be a closeted homosexual who thinks that burning the LGBT flag might make them not gay. When in fact, I mean, I have always thought they were gay. But it seems like a little over the top to just burn the LGBT flag in your backyard, but you can do it. This is America. This is America. I mean, you could probably do it in a lot of countries. I'm sure in like the Middle East, they go, yeah, let's go. Let's burn those flags. But again, you can't rip down an LGBT flag that someone else owns and then burn it. That you can't do. That's someone else's property. And in America, big on property here, right? Now, obviously, one difference, and I'm sure you guys, I don't see the chat, but I'm sure many of you are like, yes, one difference is if you rip down someone's U.S. flag and burn it, you won't be hit with a hate crime, obviously, which is so stupid. I think South Park covered this, so I'm like, I don't even know, but like, if you murder someone and they're like, that was a hate crime, you're like, who cares? You still murdered them. They were showing there was one guy who, I don't know if he was in Florida. I kept seeing this article getting posted because I looked it up on Grok. Has anybody ever been charged with vandalizing an LGBT? And it's always like property damage, and then they ding you with like a million other things, like, you know, like when they do wheelies and stuff. And there's a bunch of kids in Georgia maybe 2 months ago who stole an LGBT. But again, they always just hit you with like the property crimes. The article, I couldn't find an answer to this. And again, Tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong on this, you know, you can tell me. But they were like, they're looking into hate crimes, but it didn't appear that they charged them with any hate crimes at all. So you just get dinged with a bunch of property crimes, right? But I do concede that they have these hate crimes, and it is really, really stupid. But again, I don't really know how to feel about this. But again, it does seem so crazy to me that someone would like be like, yeah, I want to go to college in America, and then they get here and they're just burning American flags. Like, the only time you can burn an American flag that we all agree on in America is during a soccer game. 2026 World Cup. I know America's trash at soccer. I'm sure there'll be a few flags getting burned. And we'll be like, that's cool. We're burning your country's flag, Paraguay. But I just would never get why you do that. I don't understand. Like, you don't have to be here. That's the thing. I don't know if this is just like such a basic take, but I'm like, you don't have to be here. If you hate this place so much, go home. Except the place you're from is a fucking shithole. That's why you left in the first place. So just stay here, mind your business, and don't fucking burn any flags. Also, I wanted to make one note from a story last week that someone called in about. There was a story going on. The Trump administration is vetting 55 million U.S. visa holders for potential violations. People were going nuts online as they're like, couldn't believe that there were 55 million people on visas living in the United States. And there aren't. So don't worry about that. The number is still close to 16 million, which is probably around 5% of the census population, probably like 1% of the real population. Wink. But the thing is people from a lot of different countries all over the world, they need visas just to travel here. Like if you just want to go to Vegas for a weekend and you live in like probably half the countries or more in the world, you need an advance visa to travel to the United States. So I think that's what most of them are. And they're trying to weed out all the riffraff. So anyways, that's all I thought on that. Let me know what you think. We're going to open the phone line shortly. Let me know what you think about the flag burning stuff. Do you like it? Do you not like it? If so, why? Schneid Time says, I burn money. The artist formerly known as Vince says, do you even want to be a white guy, or are you leaning into the Jew thing? Say the word and I'll stop defending your whiteness. What do you mean? I'm Jewish and I'm white. I imagine, artist formerly known as Vince, I imagine you're Christian and white. I'm Jewish and white. What is so hard to understand? Really? Really? I mean, what is so difficult to understand? There's black people who are Jewish. There's Asian Jews. Just like there's Christians who are black or Blasian. It's really just all over the place. I am a white guy. Ask any casting director. Any single one. They'll tell you. Full white guy right here. All right. We're going to open the phone lines in a minute. I saw an interesting chart. I'm curious if anybody maybe can offer me any insight into this. because this is kind of interesting. I don't really. Let's see if I can find this here. Actually, look, we have a little video or a little picture on the screen. This is from the St. Louis Fed. They had an interesting chart that I came across shortly before this we went to air. I'm wondering if anybody maybe has anything that they can kind of add to this. I don't know. The St. Louis Fed has a chart tracking the number of Americans with disabilities. And congrats, everyone in America, because it's another all-time high this month. Currently, there are almost 36 million disabled Americans over the age of 16. Now, this could be due to a number of factors, but there is one thing that really stands out when you look at it, which is, I can't get my finger in front of it. Imagine where my finger would be, that little dip right there. So, specifically, February 2020, there was 31 million disabled Americans over 16. And then June 2020, there was 29 million. So 2 million gonzo. Interesting. It's like, 4 months? Since the low in June 2020, it has steadily marched higher, adding 7 million new disabled people over that time. Roughly it's about 300,000 new disabled Americans per month. But if you look at that chart, it had about, what are we looking at? It was about 6 years, pretty flat. I would like, you know what? I'd really like to see, I don't know how far back you can get this chart, but I'd like to see an overlay of whether the Democrats are in control or the Republicans are in control and how that looks. Because it looks like during Trump, it kind of flattened out. Biden, it took off, right? Who and when did Obama get into office? 2008, right? Isn't that right? 2008. It dipped a little and kind of took off. But the velocity of it right now is it's I wouldn't say parabolic. But of course, and it's not hard to at least infer that this was COVID/vaccine related. Now, pro-vax people will point to the increase as caused by COVID. Anti-vaxxers will say it was the jab. I'm curious what caused the huge drop from February 2020 to June 2020. Did people died of COVID? Part of me is like, is that because people were getting stimmies and they were like, I don't have to be on unemployment, like disability benefits anymore? Was there some sort of conflict? I don't know. I didn't have enough time to really research this, so I'm kind of talking out my ass. What amount of this is just people saying they have long COVID now and just getting disability? I'm speculating entirely. But if you have anything to add or know anything about this kind of stuff, call in. Let me know. I'm curious. All right. The phone lines are open, 1-888-949-2969. We're going to do 30 minutes of open lines, even more, actually. And then we're going to bring on our guest. Ethan Fleckenstein2334 says, Islam sucks. God bless Trump, America, and Deutschland über alles. Weisslich Civilization retten. We speak English here, okay? Ethan, English only. All right, before we get to the calls, everybody, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, do the things. Please do the things. And again, the phone lines are open, 1-888-949-2969. If you can do me a favor, drop a review. If you're an audio listener, share it on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. If you enjoy the show and you would like to keep enjoying the show, just tell a friend about it or sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/low-value-mail, MAIL. And if we hit the super chat goal tonight, I'll do an extra 30 minutes of open lines. And also, I will give, once I hit 500 subs, I'll give away $500 on Patreon. All right, phone lines are open. Oddly, no calls. I don't know. Did I fuck up? Did I do something wrong? Does nobody care about the show anymore? I see there's a big debate about in the chat about all religions suck. Okay, well, Phone lines are open. Nobody's calling in. That's odd. Okay, now someone's calling in. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I had a lot of people message me today about this whole with the flag thing, about people getting arrested for the gay stuff. It does seem to be an interesting thing. All right, now we got calls coming in. Oh, okay. Someone says, dibs on the $500. Well, we're still a ways away, so if you want to be able to win the $500, sign up at patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. And we got Gerard answering the calls today. He's back on the ones and twos. Let's go to a call right now. We have Wireless Caller on the line. I don't know if that's his full Christian name, but Wireless Caller, who, of course, is not unmuting himself. It's just, guys, this is how things go. Someone says Trump's birthday is Flag Day. Is that true? Is Trump's birthday Flag Day? Oh, yeah, that's right. It is. Interesting. No burning flags on Trump's birthday. None of that. Okay. Someone says I wouldn't sign up for $1,000. All right. Well, then you're not going to get anything. You will get nothing, and you will be happy. All right. Well, someone's on the line, but they can't figure out how to unmute themselves. So that's great. Things are going smoothly. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about, but I literally cannot remember.
Hey, man.
Oh,
Jim Bob.
there, Jim Bob. How's it going, man?
Not too bad. Apparently, I got to press *6 or something now. Talk to you.
Yeah, you got it. Well, it's always been like that. You got to press the *6.
Oh, well, I drink a lot, so that's weird.
It's all right.
Put written instructions on your website.
So,
I'll know next time.
Okay. What's up, Jim Bob?
I'm just joking. I can't read. But, yeah.
Really leaning into this Jim Bob thing.
Your mother likes it.
What are you doing there, Jim Bob? There's like a crazy crackling. Jesus, it sounds like you're falling down a flight of stairs, man.
Oh, that does happen because I do live in a place with stairs.
Okay. What are you doing with your phone right now? All right, we're gonna mute Jim Bob. I don't know what the hell is going on with him right now. That is not a great thing to listen to right there. It just hello, you're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, Danny. It's Tim.
Hey, what's up, Tim? How's it going?
Oh, nothing much. How's it going? I called in. I was feeling like no one's watching the show anymore. What's going on?
What do you mean?
I got right in.
Yeah. I don't know why people didn't. Normally people call it light up the lines. Maybe people don't care about this flag thing enough.
No, I called in many times, and usually I gotta wait a hell of a long time.
Yeah, just depends.
I just wanted to, yeah. Did you see that shit with Rampage Jackson's son?
I did see that. I watched. So basically, for people who I guess are not super online, Rampage Jackson's son, who does he even fight MMA? Or is it just his dad does?
I don't know if he's like very established, but apparently, yeah, he does.
Okay, so he tried to do some like independent wrestling thing where like I guess he didn't know what he was doing, and then I guess what was the story was like the guy like hit him in the head with a beer can as like a wrestling move. Like I don't know. Yeah, but that was like before the show. That was like
But I might be a little bit ignorant on this, but from what I understand, is it was part of like the whole theatrics thing, and it was like planned, and it wasn't like it was all staged and propped.
Yeah, it was all like
just, I guess, flipped out as he looked like an idiot through it, you know?
Right, because he didn't react to getting hit in the head with the beer can at all, so like he didn't sell it, I guess. And then, anyways, in the stage, he like power bombs this guy, Rampage Jackson's son, power bombs this guy, knocks him out cold, and then just like punches him in the face like 20 times. And the guy's like in the hospital and shit. Yeah.
Apparently he was like in between the part with the beer can where he felt disrespected, and before he like fucked this guy up, he was like on his like live stream being like, I could fucking hit this guy for real. He wouldn't even know what, like just kind of saying what he's about to do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how that works. I imagine like he's gonna like have some legal problems.
There must be legal consequences to that.
I mean,
I
don't know if anybody remembers this story from the NHL. This is probably 20-ish years ago, but Todd Bertuzzi of the Vancouver Canucks to this guy Steve Moore during an NHL game. The guy was like skating up the ice, and Todd Bertuzzi came up from behind him and basically like, I don't know if he like put him in a headlock, but he kind of like headlocked him, and then he just drove his head into the ground and knocked this dude unconscious. And the guy's like career was over from it, like basically. And essentially, because hockey's like a pretty violent sport, and they were like, that like crossed the line, and he got charged with assault. Like he had to go to court. I think he had to pay.
Did he end up getting in a lot of trouble?
Well, yeah, I don't know if whatever happened with his like if he was found. That's a good question, actually. Todd Bertuzzi, Steve Moore. Yeah, he had a criminal assault complaint against him. I know he had to pay him a ton of money, but I don't know. I know there was like a lawsuit because I mean he did rob this dude of like millions of dollars, in his career.
Yeah, that's up.
But
I got one more thing I wanted to address. Fucking, you've been following Mandami, the nightmare, fucking currently exploding?
That he can't put up one plate.
Well, that, and he wants to like get rid of charging all like petty crimes or whatever, and no cash bail, and it's every day it's something with this fucking.
I mean, I don't know if they I thought what was the last guy who everybody hated? I can't remember his name. Before the
Adam?
guy, before Adams.
Cuomo? No, not Cuomo. Fucking, yeah, I know who you're talking. Jesus Christ,
yeah. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but the guy before Cuomo, everybody hated. I thought he got rid of. Dude, they were doing this thing where, I don't know if they still do it, but they were doing this thing where if you showed up for your bail hearing, they would give you Mets tickets. Be like, just show up for your bail hearing and we'll give you Mets tickets. And you're like, yeah, that's a sign of a pretty well-functioning criminal justice system. Like, de Blasio, that's the one.
Who paid for the Mets tickets? Is there some like back alley Mets guy just like... Yeah.
No, it was, well, that was when the Mets, I don't know if the Mets, I think the Mets were kind of crappy at that time. So probably they were like, the city cut a deal with them and got, But then also you're sitting in like this section of just criminals at the Mets game. They probably just put all the criminals together at a Mets game.
It's probably a good time up there. Beers are flowing.
But I mean the petty crime thing, that's like, again, even everywhere, like I don't like, where do you live? Do you live in New York?
I used to. No, now I'm down in South Carolina.
I'm just curious, like, does every CVS and Target lock up everything all over the country, or is that just specific cities?
No.
It's not locked up everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
No.
Like, dude,
there's places down here, and I'm not even like in a tiny small town. It's like your average town.
Yeah.
And you can go in the gas station, and the guy will be like in the back, and no one's watching anything. You know what I mean?
So there's a gas station like that by my house in Long Island City where like you can just kind of. It's not like super crazy, but like I went to on the Upper East Side the other day. Walked into a Dwayne Reed. And they had the cereal under lock and key. Like you had to get someone to like, it was like the cereal was behind plexiglass. I'm like, that seems like, but then again, you see it all over New York City. Like you'll go walk around and there'll just be people and they'll just be selling shit that they clearly just stole. Like, 10 minutes previously.
I haven't been in the city in a couple of years now. I grew up on Long Island, but was in and out of the city a lot. But it's ridiculous, and it's so fucking expensive. Unless you're like making a ton of money, who the fuck is going to be living in New York City? At this point.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Well, all right. I'll let you go and take the next call.
Good talking to you, man.
Have a good one. Bye.
All right, let's go to conspiracy extremist. I believe this is who it is. Yes, for those of you in the chat, Slav has been banned again. Hello.
Hey, Danny, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Hey, so I keep forgetting to tell you this whole leg washing thing. I've never addressed it.
Yes.
And I pondered. I definitely do not wash my legs. Maybe very
One
rarely.
of us. One of us.
I never really thought about it. And then, you know, when watching a show and you bring it up every once in a while, I'm like, wait, do I wash my legs? No, I don't. It's very interesting.
You don't need to. You don't. That's honestly, big soap is fucking psyoping you into thinking you need to wash your legs. You don't need to wash your legs. Gravity does it for you. You wash your head and waist up, or, you know, maybe knees up. Probably you want to do waist down. And then knees up, and then all the soap just runs off of you and just cleans your legs like a car wash.
Yeah, I think it's just common sense. Like, you don't. That's why I've never really thought about it, and I think most people don't think about it either. Because
I mean, I'm telling you, every black comedian I know finds me disgusting when I bring it up. And they're like, "What? You don't wash your legs?" I go, "No, I don't wash my legs." Nor will I.
Well, as a fellow white person, we're not as ashy, you know.
Exactly. I mean, you know what? I actually, because I've been getting a little sun, I am kind of ashy, but you just can't really tell. Probably if, you know, you have that real dark background, you probably do need to wash the legs. I do get
maybe.
that. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I think the gravity car wash theory is correct. And
I think so too. I think this is one of my greatest theories. Also, I'm just not going to wash my legs. What do you think about this flag thing? Do you care at all? You don't seem like the type who would
okay. Yes, that was the thing that I was going to bring up besides the leg washing. So here's the thing. I have like still some little libertarian tendencies in me. So
Sure.
I'm like, you know, who cares? It's a flag, you know, fuck the government. But since I've been radicalized
But you can,
to be a
but the thing is, you
activist-
can, well, back to the libertarian thing. You can burn an American flag on your own property. That is still fine. So would that kind of align with the libertarian thing where they're like, you can still do it. They're not really they're not taking that away from you. They're just saying, essentially, if you're not a U.S. citizen, even if you're not a U.S. citizen, you can still burn a flag on. I guess the point is, what's the point of burning a U.S. flag if it's not some sort of display for other people to see, though?
Well,
Right.
it's intended to be retiring the flags. That's when they actually burn it. And they actually have graves for the burnt flags. Usually, like, you know, under the ground mass or above ground mass.
For all flags,
boxes.
like if you just have a flag you bought from China that you fly on your just like front stoop, and it gets torn up, like, is there a place to send it in where they'll give it like a proper burial?
Yes, there are, but typically they're used for like military ceremonial purposes. But yes, there are places that you can send the burnt flag ashes, I guess, to have it buried.
Interesting.
But here's the thing. I was going to say, with that being said, I have sort of been radicalized to be very fascist in nature now after just cultural shit. I kind of have it also leaning where people should be imprisoned for 20 years if they disgrace the flag. Not necessarily burning it, because there is a ceremonial purpose to respect it, but people stomping on the flag and shit like that, I don't know, man. Nowadays, I just...
You think that someone should
really
go 20 years in prison for... I don't think child rapists get 20 years in prison. Although I assume you probably think child rapists should be executed. Yeah, literally as I was saying that, you're like, yeah, that's also not enough. 20 years seems a little harsh.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean, that's just a number I kind of just said to be extreme.
Just a quarter of the average person's life.
At the very minimum, there should be a fine, I think. If you're doing a public display of not necessarily just burning, but I mean, you know what I'm talking about. These people, these fucking crazy socialists and not the good ones, like stomp on it.
Not the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like a lot of these people, they're not even American citizens. I'm just like, wow. It goes back to the whole like Mahmoud Khalif shit where people are like, yeah, you're like, he has a green card. He's here legally. And you're like, well, he's not an American citizen. I'm of the opinion that like, if you're not an American citizen, you don't truly have like true First Amendment protection. Like, you know, obviously no other administration gave a shit and they were just like, let these people do whatever the fuck you want. But then I'm also like, I don't get why you would come to America and then be like, I hate this place. It's like, get the fuck out of here then.
100%. Yep. Yeah. And it's disgusting because in Arizona, like parts of Arizona where you have a bunch of Mexicans, they're driving around in their little F-150s with a big ass Mexican flag sticking out of it. And it's like, if you love Mexico so much, why the fuck are you here?
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of them won't be here for long. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. There are like actual citizens.
Yeah.
I mean, look at these leftists. They're citizens and they'll still do the same shit. They'll stomp on the flag. They'll burn it. They'll do all this disgusting shit.
But obviously you're a big First Amendment guy. You must be a First Amendment guy, I imagine. Or does your fascism be like, there shouldn't be a First Amendment? Do your fascistic tendencies?
Struggle. I don't know. I think this is what I think is that whatever I agree with should be okay. What I disagree with should be illegal.
Fair. Spoken like a true fascist. You go, I make the rules. What I say goes. Basically, you just want the country to be like probably how you parent your kids. You go, I fucking make the rules and that's just what it is. You go, I don't give a shit that you want to watch Bluey. It's bedtime.
Yeah, democracy's look where it's gotten us. So, I mean, like, to be honest, I'm like, yeah, we really want a dictator, but kinda, you know, like as long as he agrees with everything I do. I don't know how else to fix this shit, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, you know, the threat of the 1-year jail. But again, there's going to be so many people who are going to now openly defy this just because Trump's doing it. And then, you know, I don't know. I don't know if there's some scenario where like, yeah, there's like a fucking full jail full of just like liberal arts chicks who are all just burned a flag. But yeah.
Well,
and then again,
out for burning the Israeli flag.
What's that?
People are getting their citizenship revoked for burning the Israeli flag.
I don't think anybody's had their citizenship revoked. It's the same thing with like the visas where you're like, you're a guest in this country. You're not a citizen. There's no U.S. citizens who have been arrested. I looked it up specifically because I was wondering, talking about this when I was preparing. I was like, has anybody ever been arrested for burning an Israeli flag? Like, there's no charge for that. Literally, it's always just like, yeah, they set a fire in the street or they stole the flag from someone. And so they're charged with theft of the flag. But it's more a property crime. Like there's no law in the books that says you can't burn a flag. Well, I guess there is now, but the question is does this new U.S. flag thing apply to other countries? Because it would probably really only apply to Israel, I assume.
Yeah, which is
but then what happens?
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if is there some slippery slope argument I'm missing here about. It's like you make it illegal to burn the flag. It's, you know, is there some sort of like, are you giving up some kind of liberty by allowing them to criminalize burning the flag? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, I understand. I agree with you in principle, but I mean, when you give a lot of people liberty, I mean, things don't. We got a bunch of fucking homos dancing around naked at Pride parade in front of kids.
That's true. So. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what it is. I saw did you see that thing? It was so funny. Like CNN is running this. I wonder, are you going to go move there? There's like this whites only colony that's opening up. Did you see that? It was on CNN.
Yeah. Return to the land. Oh yeah.
Return to the land. Are you going to go return to the land?
No,
thinking about it?
I mean, the same reason yeah, of course I thought about it, but it's the same reason why I haven't moved to like New Hampshire where they've got like what was it called? The Free Something Project. No, it's because where we live, both my parents and in-laws both live very close to us. And when it was always important to me that my kids would be able to get to know their grandparents because I didn't get to know mine. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't you just be a fascist and be like, yo, grandparents, you're fucking moving. We're going to this whites only colony.
Dude, I thought about it.
Tell them it's like
they'd have to all retire first.
Oh, they got to retire first. Yeah, there's probably not a big economic activity going on this whites only. I think like the main income that they have right now is like the guy does live streams on YouTube. And
I think the dude who started it, like he's got all these properties and shit. Like,
he's got properties.
Financial backers.
Yeah, they have financial backers, but like essentially in terms of like there's no I don't know if there's like a store. Like, I don't know how any of that works. I guess it's probably near something. It's funny because all the black people in the comments on CNN were like, all right, what? Like, they didn't even, CNN was posting this to inflame people, and they were just like, all right, good. I don't know.
But you want to hear something hilarious about the guy who started it?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know the exact details, but allegedly, it came out a couple years ago. He was like doing like full-blown porn.
Oh, they always do full-blown porn. It was like Peanut the Squirrel. Remember Peanut the Squirrel?
Oh, yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, they all do porn. That's how it always goes.
Every single time.
All right, I got to let you go. I got to take some more calls. Good talking to you. Later.
Bye.
Okay, we're going to take... phone lines are closed, everybody. Don't call in anymore. You had your chance, and you fucking blew it. You blew it. Hello, you're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with? I'm speaking with nobody, apparently. Hello. Not there. God, there's... Really wondered about some of you sometimes. What's going on? Hello, you're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, what's up, brother?
Hey, who am I speaking with?
Hey, it's Todd from California, man.
What's happening?
All right. I took notes. I'm trying to be a good caller.
Okay.
Yeah. Locking up liquor and shit like that in California, it's different from city to city. Like the ghetto ones, they're all behind glass. And you have to
the
ask
liquor
someone
stores, I see some gas stations and stuff are like that. I'm talking about cereal. Like cereal is behind glass in like one of the most affluent neighborhoods in New York City. Like this is the Upper East Side. Like this is, people live in $10 million apartments in this area.
Yeah, dude, that doesn't happen in like Southern California and stuff like that. Like I haven't seen that yet, but it like they're like rolling out locking more shit up and shit like that for sure.
Yeah, I guess the thing with New York City is that it's so easy to get around everywhere that like you could just be like, yeah, I'm just going to go to the affluent areas. It takes me 20 minutes to get there on the subway, and then I'll just go rob them. So it's kind of forced them all to, I guess, do this. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it would be like that everywhere, but I'm trying to think. Yeah, because when I was in Florida, it wasn't like that. Florida, they don't lock everything up, and it wasn't like this when I moved here 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I don't think anything was locked up.
Danny, it's crazy, man. Like where I live, if I drive like 20 minutes to like Orange County, California and stuff like that, like nothing's locked up. They don't lock shit up there. Like they don't have a reason to and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. But like it's like really fucking crazy and shit like that.
Well, the stores have no choice really because the city like won't prosecute and, doesn't really punish you for theft. So what's the store supposed to do? And I imagine the store's like, we can't do anything to these people. Like, I'm sure if they touch them, then whoever gets in trouble. There's this crazy story out of Lindsay, Ontario, actually, in Canada, where this guy this is like, Americans will not be able to comprehend what I'm about to say. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but some guy broke into another guy's house at 2 or 3 in the morning. And then the guy broke in with a weapon. He had a crossbow. Broke into this guy's house. The guy who lived there woke up, was like, there's an intruder in my house, grabbed a knife, stabbed the guy up, and is now facing charges, basically. Like, they both got charged.
Shut the hell up.
Isn't that crazy? They're essentially saying he used too much force on the intruder. You're like, the guy had a crossbow. They're like, you stabbed him too many times.
I mean, I think like the polite thing to do at first is do a slash. Hey, shout out Slav, fuck them Jews, you know what I'm saying, shit. But like stabbing is a little intense. I mean,
whatever. You're like, you don't know what the person's going to do to you. It's like, you just go fucking kill them. Like, someone's in your bedroom at 3 in the morning. You're like, you should be allowed to kill that person.
I'm probably stabbing. Yeah, I'm on your side again.
With a weapon. With a weapon. The guy had a crossbow, and now this guy's like fucking probably going to go to jail over like.
I have a Bowie knife under my bed and a fucking nightstick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't fuck around, but maybe not go straight to stabby town.
Well, what do you do? What's your move then? You just be like, hey, get out?
Fucking slash him in the face, probably.
Slash him in the face, I guess. See, I don't know. If I'm getting woken up at 3 a.m., I'm fucking stabbing. I'm going nonstop stabbing. Nonstop. Anyways, I gotta let you go. I gotta take these calls before we guest. Good talking to you, man. All right. All right. We got to do this quick because I have 9 minutes before the guest comes on. That's about 2 minutes of caller. Goob, what's up?
What's up, Danny?
How you doing, man?
You know, I did call in for a specific reason, but
sure.
I'm a bit drunker than I thought I was.
Oh, yeah,
I do want to say to Gerard, the hold has been fixed, so I'm able to listen to the show again, which is excellent while I'm on hold.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought I had set it up for that to be able to be the case through Zoom. So, good to know. Good to know. What's up? What's up, Goob? We got to be quick.
Yeah. I think we should burn all flags.
Okay.
I think all flags should be burnt. It's weird that in America, you know, Jewish and fag flags were the only flags that you couldn't burn. I think
that's not true.
Trending toward
you can literally burn
that's
any
absolutely
flag.
True.
You can, from what my research, because I specifically was looking it up today, you can burn any flag that you bought yourself. Nobody's going to stop you. Every person who gets arrested for burning a gay pride flag or any sort of flag is because they stole it from somebody. And then there have definitely been charges of like arson and terrorism. So I don't remember the exact charge, but like there's something about using accelerants. Yeah, there was one case
a bomb.
Well, there was one case
and terrorism, and so a guy bought a fag flag, poured gas on it, and burned it. And he was charged with like terrorism and
where did he burn? Where
did
he burn
bomb
it?
Making.
Where did he burn it?
Public, I assume.
I mean, I can't go buy
details.
a fucking I can't go buy a T-shirt and do that and just start a fire in the middle of 8th Avenue. Like I can't just go buy a black T-shirt.
Yeah, you certainly can. You're not going to get the feds after you and get
I'm not going to get a
for
terrorism
that.
charge, but like they're not just going to be like, hey, just what are you doing? Like they're going to fucking in New York City, like. I'm gonna get. I'm not saying I'm like that. Obviously,
right?
The hate crime
you'll have
element,
someone come up to you and go, "What are you doing? Don't do that." Versus hate crime terrorism charges that lock you in jail
the
for
hate
40
crime
years.
thing. Yeah, the hate crime thing, obviously, because there was this one guy who he pulled down a gay pride flag from like a church or something, but I read the whole story, and the guy had like a crazy criminal history. He was like threatening to light a strip club on fire. Like it wasn't as cut and dry.
What about the street? You remember the street, like people putting tire marks on the crossways?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the same kind of thing. Like you can't really sit here and be like, "Oh, that's not a thing," when you know goddamn well it's a thing.
That one I do disagree with, and that's obviously not. It's similar to the flag, but I guess it is pretty similar to the flag, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, those ones.
It's the gay and the Israel protection that exists in America.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be a funny prank.
You can try and
is you draw like an Israel flag on there, and then like someone scuffs it up, and then you fucking call the cops on them. Just you draw it on like the sidewalk, and then they mess it up, and you go, "You just did a hate crime." But yeah, the
malicious compliance. Play their game against them. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah. Like you basically cops walking. You go, yo, you just.
I like that.
You just desecrated my Israel. Yeah, you just desecrated my Israel flag that I fucking drew with chalk on the sidewalk, man. That's illegal, brother. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Obviously, like the pride flags on the whatever, like the crosswalk ones. That's. Again, it's like, is it illegal to do wheelies? I don't know. Like, is it illegal to do, or whatever, not wheelies, fucking donuts?
Generally, yeah, it is.
So
those are all crimes, but they're not hate crimes. They're like
hate crime. I mean, hate crimes
ticket that you pay $150 for.
Of course,
not that you go to jail for 15 years for.
Yeah. No, what you need to do is you need to do like a white pride mural on the ground, and then start doing donuts and just see if anything happens. Probably people will be like, "Thanks for
It
doing
wouldn't,
that."
though.
No, I know.
Yeah, I'd get like
Everybody would be like, "Thanks,
for it.
man. You're a real good guy for doing donuts on that nasty." white
Also,
pride."
not a bad idea. If you want to boost your online cred, do that. You're coming up with bangers here, but they're they're not the kind of bangers I want, but they're bangers.
Yeah, well, I'm not a U.S. citizen, so I don't know if I could do these. Not with this administration. I don't. My biggest fear is that I ever have like a fucking knock on my door and I have to go explain my jokes to ICE. I go, I'm telling you, it's just a goof. Anyways,
Yeah.
I gotta let you go. But
all right, man. Thanks, Danny.
Okay. Okay, we'll take sorry, we're not going to get to all the calls, unfortunately, because Howard is right here. We're going to be with him in a few minutes. I'm going to take the last call, and then we're going to go to the break, and we'll be back with Howard Bloom. Hello. You're on Low Value.
Hello, Danny.
What is
Zach,
happening?
how are you today, sir?
Zach, how's it going, man?
I'm doing all right. I think this is ridiculous. The same day that Trump says he's going to let in 600,000 Chinese students,
I saw that
is the day
600.
that they.
I saw that Chinese student thing. So how many? Do we know how many? Like, is that there's 600,000 Chinese students here already, or?
I think it's 600,000 more because there's already like 300,000 ish of them.
There's 300,000, and so is that essentially some sort of like leverage position? Like, is that some sort of negotiation tactic that he's trying to pull with the Chinese because he's like all the tariffs and because obviously America still needs stuff from China, so he has to give them something. Is that like some carrot that he's offering them?
I don't really understand what the rationale is. Right now, China's economy is circling the drain. People are burning factories down because they haven't been paid in a year. And you would think we'd want to be pushing them over the edge, not helping them let off steam and send over people here to spy and steal intellectual property. And
right. I mean, there was there was that Chinese woman who they caught. She was trying to bring those like spores. Remember that? This was like a month ago. She was trying to bring in these like spores into the country that would just basically kill all the crops. And they just have to be like, yeah, those are just like these one-off cases.
Yeah, and they're buying up, like, you know what happened in Canada with them buying all the property, and the same thing is happening here. They come over for birth tourism to get a passport to then, start siphoning money out of China and trying to escape here. Yeah. So the Confucius Institutes of the colleges, it's completely absurd. First of all, Texas v. Johnson is a very well-established Supreme Court decision. So there's already somebody got arrested in front of the White House for burning a flag. And it's doomed to failure in it's just an indication of how the guy's priorities are completely out of whack. And it's retarded.
Well, he's really going after these leftist agitators that he, obviously he has a real hard on for them. And I guess he's trying to make their lives as miserable as possible. But again, I do get the thing of like, if people hate, like who are not American, who live here and they're like, they hate this country, why would you want them here? Like America, I guess, is just like so liberal in some senses and has been, where there was like this element where you're like, yeah, there's people here who we welcome in and they hate this place. And I guess you just accept it. And he's kind of the guy who's just being like, we don't have to accept this. I mean, there's like 40 countries in the world where you do go to jail for burning the flag. Now, granted, America has to ask themselves, do we want to be like those countries? I guess that's the question. Anyways, I got to let you go. Unfortunately, I got to go to the break. But good talking to you, man.
Peace.
Later. All right. It is break time. We'll be back momentarily with my guest, Howard Bloom. What's going on here? Oh, yeah. Okay. Don't go anywhere. I'll see you very soon. And we're back, everybody. Joining me, maybe one of the most interesting people who has ever been a guest on this show. Thank you for coming on. Howard Bloom, how are you doing?
Danny, hi. So how are you doing? How in the world did you even hear about me?
I actually heard about you from so I am a big coast to coast guy. But the thing is so I used to live in Canada. We actually grew up, but you're from pretty close to me. Buffalo. But on the Buffalo, I'm from near Hamilton.
Wow.
So we're probably about not even 100 miles away.
Right.
Right. But anyways, so I used to listen to Coast all the time. I was a huge Coast to Coast guy. This is the inspiration for this show is Coast to Coast, but maybe
amazing,
slightly more modern version. But because there's not a lot of people doing call-in shows. But once I moved to New York, I don't have a car anymore, and I always used to listen to Coast to Coast.
I don't have to have a car either. What a relief!
I know. I don't hate the fact that I don't need a car, but that's when I used to listen to Coast all the time. But so my producer, Gerard, I was just because he's my new producer, and I said, are there any interesting guests that you think that I don't know about? And he recommended you. And then I watched you on your Joe Rogan and a few other your appearances. And I was like, this guy's incredible. And yeah, I mean, you're like, you have this crazy life. Like this, it's almost like it's like a Forrest Gump thing, but like with like you're really smart. It's like the other way.
Right.
Yeah. But so for people who
that's an accurate assessment, by the way.
Yeah. So I guess just quickly for people who don't know who you are, maybe just give them a quick little synopsis.
Well, I started in science at the age of 10. I started in microbiology and theoretical physics, and but I was fascinated with mass human emotion, most important, ecstatic mass human emotion. And I've been on the trail of that with my tools of science ever since. So as field work, I ended up through a series of accidents being able to start the biggest PR firm in the music industry. And here I am, a scientist. I'm not a vinyl junkie. I did not grow up on popular music. I grew up on Rachmaninoff, Bartok, Stravinsky, etc. And now I'm in the world, straight in the middle of the world of popular music. And so I'm using my scientific insights to see what works, see what doesn't work, and invent things that should be but aren't. And the result is that I was credited with inventing a whole new form of PR in the music industry. And I ended up working with Prince, Michael Jackson, Bob Marley, John Mellencamp, AC/DC, Aerosmith, Kiss, Queen, Run DMC, Billy Joel, Billy Idol, Paul Simon, Peter Gabriel, David Byrne. And in many cases, I was working to architect their careers. And I was working to architect their careers so that they would not be products, so that they would not be cardboard cutouts, so that their soul would blaze at all times. And as a consequence, you could attach to them as icons because you could see the essential, absolutely authentic and honest core of these people. We're talking about people like Joan Jett and Prince. Then I had it, I answered all my questions. I wanted to get out and go back to my science full time. But I couldn't. Your wife will never let you, when you're a legend in an industry and you're making a good living, your wife will never let you leave that job.
Sure. Especially the money and the status, I imagine.
Right. So I had, she didn't care about status, but money she cared about. So
especially in New York City, yeah.
Right. So
Reasonable.
Then I got sick in 1988. And that sickness was wretched. It kept me in bed for the next 15 years. For 5 years, I was too weak to speak and too weak to have another person in the room with me. But it let me go back to my science. I was already halfway through my first book, The Lucifer Principle. I finished it. I found a publisher, which was very hard. It took 4 years to find a publisher. We put the book out. And that's, Danny, when I had to sit down for the first time and write a biography of myself, about the author, and every week some other item would occur to me, and over the course of months, many items occurred to me. And then when I looked at the finished product, I said, this is not a real biography. This is not a real life. These are the delusions of a lunatic. You know, because I've also worked with Buzz Aldrin. I've spent some time on the phone with a guy who at that time had never launched anything into space. He hadn't even put a firecracker in a tin can and lit the fuse. But I knew, my gut knew. I have a thing in my gut that spots superstars. And when it saw this man, it said, this man is not just a superstar. He's what you've been seeking all your life. He's a myth. Because I really wanted to know the myth-making apparatus of human society.
And who was that man?
Yeah, so I had 3 phone conversations with him, and his name was Elon Musk.
Sure, and we were just before we got on here, you were watching his rocket launch.
Exactly, because I run 3 space groups now. So, yeah, I've been all over the place. And one goal has been, there's this line in Andrew Marvell in To His Coy Mistress, thus, though we cannot make our sun stand still, yet we will make him run. And the idea behind that is we cannot stop time. We cannot stop the fact that we will die someday. So let's say a big fuck you to death.
Sure.
By living as many lives as possible in one.
Yes,
So,
I like it. And you have. It seems you have. Actually, on that, Matt, I have a couple things I want to ask you. Sorry to cut you off, but because you have this AI Bloom bot, which I think ties in well with this, you know, kind of death thing, because essentially so tell me about, you have this AI bot that essentially is going to be you once you are no longer here.
Exactly. But unfortunately, it's nowhere near me at this point. I'm going probably to debate with it on stage in the fall or winter. And I hope by that time it's more me. But it's so fascinating to talk to because when it's at its best, it's goddamn brilliant. It's just amazing. It comes up with the most amazing phrases. And you can give it, I mean, phrases I wish I had written.
Sure.
You can give it 5 random things, totally disparate things that seem to have nothing whatsoever to do with each other, and say, show me the connections between these things. And in less than a second, it will produce connections that will awe you. And its knowledge is so deep that it puts these things in a bigger context in a way that is stunning. It's able to do the research I would do in a month. It can do in a second.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you obviously use AI. How did you develop this? Is this like on top of a different, like, large language model, or is this some sort of proprietary thing?
There was a computer person, a computer genius, really, who seemed to be hitting some sort of life crisis. And he met in a cafe one of the members of the Howard Bloom Institute, the group that's dedicated to carrying on my work after I die. And so this member of the HBI told him about this field I created in 2001 called omnology. And omnology is a discipline for the promiscuously curious. It is a discipline that says, don't let them silo you. Don't let them stuff you into a specialization. If you have multiple curiosities, follow them all, because those are what make you passionate about what you're doing. And when you hit the age of 40 and all your friends are hitting the age of 42, and all of your friends are having midlife crises and wondering why they're on this planet and are buying little red sports cars and picking up blondes and cheating on their wives, or if they're women planning elaborate marriages, elaborate divorces, so they can finally find out who they really are, you will be coming back from the wilderness of your multiple curiosities with your very first big picture answers. And while your friends feel they're at the end of their lives, you will know you were at the very beginning of yours.
Interesting.
So that's omnology. So he heard about that, and it suddenly all kinds of things clicked into place for him. So he contacted me. I put him in the Howard Bloom Institute, and he started developing what he calls omnibots. That is, bots that are based...
And this is in 2001?
No, this is now. This has happened 8 months ago or something like that. So, At any rate, so the omnibots are based on omnology, and he started to develop the Bloombot. He seems to find me somehow nourishing. I nourish his soul and give him a sense of purpose. Don't ask me how. I'm just a normal mortal like you. But so he started creating the Bloombot, and then I said, why don't I debate the Bloombot? And that's what we're putting together.
It's kind of like Deep Blue, like the chess, like you're playing yourself almost.
Yeah, exactly. And then if that's successful, if we manage to get in an audience, we will do it again, but then I will debate with Aristotle.
Right. And so how do you train it? Just obviously you've written what, 7 books?
I've written 8 books.
8 books, sorry.
Right.
So 8 books, and just like you just feed it as much information as you can on specifically on yourself, or is it?
Well, he feeds it. He's my chief technical officer, Ryan Dean. He's amazing, and he feeds the books in. He feeds in any other stuff he could find that I've written, and he feeds in. I've got about 500 YouTube videos altogether. So he's, in other words, where I'm being interviewed, the way we're doing an interview now, and stuff like that. And he feeds in all that stuff that'll fit. When we're able to get enough money to pay ChatGPT for additional storage, then the bot will know a whole lot more about me.
Interesting. I want to ask you. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
He's creating lenses. And I don't entirely understand what these lenses are, but one lens is based on my way of thought. Another lens is based on Aristotle's way of thought. Another lens is based on Leibniz's thought. And the chatbots he creates have these multiple lenses with which to look at things.
Yeah, because you seem to be, you're very interested in like deconstructing, it seems, these massive things. Right. Like
I love to turn things on their head.
Right. Like you're all about the universe. Your most recent book is what is
The Case of the Sexual Cosmos. Everything you know about nature is wrong. So you're not trying to, fix these small problems. You're thinking about things from this grand scale. Are you concerned with AI? And no,
with the speed?
I'm not afraid of it by any stretch of the imagination. It's like any tool. A hammer can be used to kill, or a hammer can be used to build a house. We don't outlaw hammers because a few people, one person in 1,000 is going to club his wife to death with a hammer because of the hammer's useful utility. And AI, I use 4 AIs simultaneously. And I use them to do research for me. I use them to check each other because they hallucinate. And their hallucinations are so fucking amazing. I mean, they are detailed down to the last degree. And if you ask for the sources, they will give you those sources in perfect MLA style or perfect Chicago style or whatever you ask for. And the references will be extremely impressive. And then you'll start checking one of the references and you'll discover the author doesn't exist, the paper doesn't exist. They make these things up, but they do it with such detail that it's hard to spot. You really cannot spot the errors. The best way to spot the errors is to go check on the articles that you think are most important yourself, but also go to another AI and ask it about these. Just feed in the whole answer that AI number 1 gave you, feed it into AI number 2. And AI number 2 will fact check it for you. And always end with Gemini, because Gemini and Meta seem to do really good jobs. But they all do really good jobs, but they're all limited.
Yeah. So, my wife drives me crazy because she only found out about ChatGPT, maybe I told her 4 months ago. I'm like, you should try this. You'd like it. But now it's completely infallible. Like anything it says just goes. And I'm like, sometimes she'll be like, I have a headache. And she goes in ChatGPT and it's like, it says I have an aneurysm. I'm like, you should maybe just calm down. I'm like, it's not, it's not always right. I wanted to ask you about, because I've heard you talk about this before. And this you referenced this earlier, ecstatic mass human emotion.
Oh yes.
Right. So this is I guess like music, like performance, politicians. Like this is kind of how they put you in a trance, I guess.
Right.
Something
It's
like that.
Rallies.
Rallies.
Okay. So I have a friend who was voted the sexiest man alive in 1988 by People magazine. His name is Harry Hamlin.
Harry Hamlin. Oh yeah, I remember him.
So yeah, so he was in L.A. law, and Harry was friends with Ivana Trump, and Ivana Trump told him, "You guys think that Donald Trump doesn't read books. You're wrong. He keeps 2 books next to his bedside table, and he reads something from one of them every single night." Now, what are those books? Mein Kampf and Hitler's collected speeches.
No way, really?
Yes. So
the speeches maybe make sense.
So one of the things he's learned from Hitler is the art of the rally.
Yeah. I mean, he does them. Nobody does them better than him.
Right. And there you create group ecstasies. I mean, you could see it in the Hitler rallies more clearly than you could see it in the Donald Trump rallies. He would go ecstatic. And you're a very different person once you've gone ecstatic. What I call the gods inside of you take total control and dance you as if you were a puppet. And the audience feeds that flame that's roaring through you. And that flame that's roaring through you feeds the audience. And they go ecstatic too. You can see this at work, and it's a great way to standardize a belief system because people go ecstatic in that belief system, and then it's as if they've been melted like steel, and then they've congealed again in a new form. And the bonding with the person who's running those rallies is extraordinary. So you see these kind of ecstatic rituals. Every concert is an ecstatic ritual. You walk in, I'm talking about rock concerts. I'm not so sure about Vivaldi. But,
sure. I'm sure it was probably for the time was something similar.
Well, they didn't have concert venues back in the days of Vivaldi. You would play your music at some aristocrat's court.
Right.
And people would pay attention if they wanted to, and they'd keep on talking. If they didn't want to, you didn't have the ritual of a whole bunch of seats facing a central point and everybody focusing on that point together. That was a ritual. Well, they'd had auditoriums back in the days of, around 400 BC. There had been auditoriums in Greece. But auditoriums were a middle-class invention and in the West, and they came up about 1750, 1800 or so. And then once you had auditoriums, then you could have the ritual of going into a room where all the seats are focused on one central point. And so what happens to you in those rituals is you walk in very self-aware. You want the people on either side of you and the people behind you to think you're cool. So, and then you take your seat and you still want the people behind you to think you're cool. And then the house lights go down and the stage lights go up. And the actors, they're not actors, the rock musicians, take to the stage. And if something weird happens to you over the course of the next 10 minutes, if that star knows his stuff, and you lose all of that sense of performing for the people around you and the people behind you. And all of a sudden you are swept up in the performance of the entertainer. And if an audience gets off was the term that was used when I first got into the rock and roll business. So if the audience gets off, their energy will go through those rock performers, especially the guy or the woman at center stage. And it will, and that person will have an out-of-body experience. The performer will have an out-of-body experience. And the energy of the audience will pour through her or him. I mean, it does with Joan Jett, astonishingly, and will go up somewhere around your head and be utterly transmogrified and pour back down through you to the audience again. And it's an astonishing experience. And so I was hunting for this kind of thing. And when I was 16,
And what got you interested in it when you were just like,
I think it was, I'm not sure of this, but I think it was because I read a biography by the Lomax brothers. The Lomax brothers took a very primitive, huge tape recording device and strapped it into the trunk of their car and went touring down south and tried to find every form of folk music that they could find. And especially they found black soul music. And when they were describing black soul music, they were describing a kind of ritual so different than what I experienced when my parents were able to drag me to synagogue that it was ridiculous. The synagogue was set up with these pews, rows upon rows of benches, and you had everybody had to stand up in order to let you pass their knees to get to a middle seat on one of these pews. And then you were trapped there for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And you stood up when the rabbi said to stand, and you sat down when he told you to sit, and you recited when he told you to recite, you sang when he told you to sing. And it was a totally dispassionate ceremony. There was no passion.
I used to, when I was a kid, I used to literally leave and go play floor hockey in the parking lot.
And I used to pick up, there are books in front of you. The backs of the pews are book racks.
Yeah.
And nobody read those books. But I picked them up. They were the Bible. So I started reading the Bible. And my impression was that I read the Bible from cover to cover 7 times doing these things.
Out of boredom.
Yeah, but it was fascinating. The
Sure.
Bible was amazing stuff. If my parents had known what those books in front of them said, they would have been horrified. Mass murder, ethnic cleansing, all of the genocide, all these things are in the Bible, for God's sakes.
Sure.
But at any rate, so I was in high school. I was very unpopular in high school, very. And so I obviously wasn't going to be elected to any popularity position. I wasn't going to be elected class president, class vice president. Well, only a woman could be elected class secretary in those days. And the most popular Jew in the class was always elected as class treasurer. I wasn't going to make it into any of those positions. But they also had functional positions, positions where you had to actually do something. And they had this thing called the program committee. And the kids elected me the president or the chair of the program committee. The school started every day with a 45-minute assembly in the auditorium. 350 kids assembled. And the head of the program committee programmed 2 of those assemblies a week and emceed all 5 of them. So one day in my senior year, the juniors came to me and they said, "We're having a dance. Could you please advertise it?" There I was on stage in front of the whole school every morning, 5 days a week. And they didn't realize the irony of what they were asking for, because I don't know how to dance. My parents sent me to a whole year of dance classes, and none of the girls would dance with me. And once they learned their lessons, the instructors wouldn't dance with me out of pity either, because I would crush their toes. I simply couldn't do it. And now they were asking me to advertise a dance. So I went on stage. First, I put a piece of music on the turntable. I have no idea what it was. And I stood there in front of the audience and I started improvising like a madman. Since I can't dance, I did my own, whatever dance came out of
You have to just solo up there by yourself, just start dancing?
Yep.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Well, it must have looked like a Looney Tune drawn on a night when Chuck Jones, the guy who drew all the Looney Tunes, had dropped acid.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was insane. So I saw the eyes of the girl who hated me most in the school. I saw her pupils dilating. I saw her eyes growing wide. I saw her face melting. And then I looked and saw all the other people were going through the same thing. And so their energy coursed through me. I had an out-of-body experience. I felt I was on the ceiling watching this whole thing happen. I watched as this energy came pouring through me and up to my head and down back to the audience again. It was extraordinary. And when I finished, the crowd did something so skillfully that it looked as if they had practiced it all their life. And in fact, they had never done it before, in my experience of that school. They thronged down to the lip of the stage. They picked me up. They put me on their shoulders, and they carried me out of the auditorium and all the way up to the building where we had our classes. And only then did they let me down. And nothing like it I was there for 4 years. Nothing like it ever happened again. Nothing like it had ever happened before.
So essentially that happened and you're like, whatever that was, I need to know how to do that again.
Well, the weird thing is it took me 40 years to realize, Bloom, you idiot. You had that out-of-body experience. You had that ecstatic experience that you were seeking, and you didn't even know it. But Danny, what it did for me is that when I was working with Kiss or Queen or Run DMC or any of the major bands, I knew what they were going through on stage. And nobody else in the field did.
Yeah.
Nobody else knew. And it was the ecstatic experience that I had been searching for. So I ended up doing 20 years in the 20 years of field work in the ecstatic experience with the people at the very top of it. Michael Jackson, Prince, Bob Marley, etc.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a comedian, and you know, there, like, you talk about energy, and there's this weird thing that happens sometimes at stand-up comedy shows where it's almost the reverse of that, where just you get on, you say one word, or a comedian says one word, and the place just instantly just hates that person. And when you're the comedian, you're like, I don't know what I did, but the energy in the room is just like decidedly so negative, or it starts like that and you just you can't undo it sometimes. But like there is this like energy component sometimes. Like comedians will talk about this all the time, where you're like, just the energy was so weird and you just sometimes cannot reverse it.
And there's a status component.
Sure.
I stood backstage at a comedy club one night because I'd been asked to, I forget to do what, probably recite something. But at any rate, it was an amazing experience to stand backstage at the lip of the stage, because you watch a perfectly normal person when he was behind the curtain sort of walk out. Wait, hang on, what's this? No. From Alabama. It's
scam likely.
Yeah. So at any rate, and you watch as he goes on stage and suddenly is naked in front of that crowd and has to gain control of that crowd in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
He has to make it clear that he is the master, and that the audience are the subservients. And that's a tricky thing to do, and you have to be brave as hell to do it.
Yeah. Well, bravery, we always joke, is whenever like people will be like, man, you must be so brave to do comedy. You go, yeah, bravery was the first few years. Now we're insane. Now we're nuts.
When I was going in front of an audience for 2 years straight, every day, first thing in the morning, the first 3 months, I was terrified. I had stage fright beyond belief. But by the 4th month, hey, walking out and talking to 350 people,
sure,
it's an automatic.
Just normal. So let's talk about your book. Let's talk about your book, because you wanted to talk about that. It's out now.
Yeah, the book is out now. You can get it on Amazon. It's The Case of the Sexual Cosmos. Everything you know about nature is wrong.
Okay, so I don't know a ton about nature, but I guess what even that is wrong. This has a lot to do with, I guess, like mating and things like that. I guess
to do with the way, the lens we look through nature. Through to see nature.
Sure.
We are told that nature, that humans are a cancer on the planet, and that we have destroyed nature.
Well, only Greta says that.
And Greta and the deep
a lot of this,
a bunch of people. So and they imply that if only we got rid of humanity, nature would go back to being a Garden of Eden. Nature would go back to being a petting zoo. Well, I got news for you. Nature has never been a petting zoo. Nature is violent, fierce, and creative, but creative in highly destructive ways. And so 99.9% of all the species who ever lived have been killed off by guess who? Mother Nature. These mass extinctions happened long before humans arrived on the planet. And when it comes to climate change, this planet, when it first congealed 4.5 billion years ago, was a poison pill of stone, and it was the mother of all climate catastrophes. It whizzled around its axis every 6 hours, which means that for 3 hours you had something poisonous, light, because light is destructive to life, and for 3 hours you had something equally poisonous, darkness. And every 3 hours, the temperature would go up 88 degrees when the sun was shining on you, and then would plunge down 88 degrees when the sun was not shining on you anymore. Plus, it had a tilt to its axis. So it was going around the sun. It had 4 major climate changes, big climate changes, every year. We call them summer, winter, fall, and spring, and we have commodified them. In other words, they become things in our lives we pay only a modest amount of attention to. We don't realize these are climate changes, for God's sakes. And if you look at the historical record, there have been so many mass extinctions. There have been about 142 mass extinctions. That's nature. That's before we invented tailpipes and smokestacks and all the things that environmentalists are upset about. We've had so many ice ages, it's ridiculous. We've had so many global warmings, far more intense than the global warming we seem to be going into today, that it makes our global warming look insignificant by comparison. 155 million years ago, we had dinosaurs living at the South Pole. We had tropical plants living at the South Pole. There was no polar ice. That's nature. That's a manifestation of nature. That radical shift from what scientists call greenhouse to icehouse. I mean, there was a point at which the planet was encrusted with ice over a half a mile thick, even at the equator. So, and that's nature. So we have to prepare for the next. There's going to be a major global warming with us or without us. If it's not a global warming, it's going to be a major ice age. And we have to be prepared for both. And we have to stop concentrating on flagellating ourselves and giving the impression that if we only sacrifice our technologies to nature, nature will be the petting zoo we talked about before. We have to get rid of that concept, and instead we have to start seeking climate stabilization technologies.
Now, sorry, I was just going to cut you off. But so, are you kind of in line with Elon Musk, where we need to go to Mars? Because he seems like it's a doom scenario essentially, where we're going to have no choice but to colonize.
I don't look at it from a doom point of view. We don't need to do it because we're about to kill ourselves off on Earth. We need to do it because we're built that way. We are built as explorers. We are built to take advantage of every single niche we can, not just on behalf of us, but on behalf of life. Danny, if I put you on Mars, that would mean I have a whole ecosystem on Mars. Because 10% of your cells are you, and 90% of your cells are not you. They're colonies like megacities, megalopolises of bacteria. And they're living in your gut, and they're living in your skin, and they're they're garrisoning your throat against invaders. So I'm putting up hundreds of species living together in a synergistic, not exactly harmony, because there is no harmony, but just if I put you on Mars. So what we're doing, I mean, what is life using us for? Life has been mounting space programs for the last 2 billion years. And first, bacteria dared come to the land and set up shop here. Now look, let's look at this from, imagine you are one of the bacteria in the sea. And I'm a rebel bacteria. And I tell you that the earth only covers, or the ocean only covers 70% of the land on this earth. And then there's 30% that's land, it's rock, it's barren stuff. And I want to go live there. And you would say, you're crazy. You can't live there. I mean, look at the light. The light will kill you. Look at the darkness. The darkness will kill you. Look at rain. Rain will wash you away. Look at storms. Look at wind. And there's nothing to eat up there. There's absolutely nothing to eat. And you would, if you were an environmentalist, you would say, look, the sea is our home, and it gives us everything we need. It gives us food. It gives us shelter. There's no way we should leave ever, because you could take that energy that you're planning to use to live on that impossible land, which will kill you in minutes. Take that energy and use it to uplift the poor and the downtrodden here in the sea. Don't you dare go on land. Well, guess what? Bacteria took to the land, and they thrived. And then plants and animals took to the land. These are all space programs going from the sea to the land. And today, there's 80 times more biomass of life on land than there is in the sea, even though the sea is 70% of the Earth's surface. So this gamble on a massive space program paid off big time. And I can show you many other space programs, because nature's most basic law is gravity. Nature exults in having life break her laws, and especially the law of gravity. Nature constantly is mounting programs to go up. I mean, once upon a time, there were green plants growing on the land who were benefiting from these extraordinary new technologies, extraordinary new inventions, these solar panels that would take the rays of the sun, that would take wiggles in God knows what. I mean, these ephemeral things called photons, and would turn them into energy sources in a chemical system, which is a big, big leap for the technologies of plants. That's photosynthesis. And plants also had invented lignin and cellulose. And with lignin and cellulose, they built these things we call stems. We take them for granted. No, those were a major technological breakthrough. I mean, the first plants on the land were only 2 inches high. This was a radical change, and this was a big fuck you to gravity. Right. But it wasn't the ultimate fuck you to gravity, because another group of plants took this lignin and cellulose and built it into something that seemed useless at first. And with this useless stuff, they were able to go 30 to 130 feet high, and they were able to capture the sunlight before any of the plants on the land could get it. So they won the sunlight race by mounting this huge space program that was a massive fuck you to gravity, to nature's most basic law. We call those things that were so obstreperous and audacious trees. And when we think of nature, trees is what we think of.
Yeah, exactly.
So nature gets a high off of fucking herself. Nature gets a high out of breaking her own rules and doing the impossible. Because nature's job, in fact, is to explore the realm of the impossible and to yank new impossibilities into the realm of the real.
So are you... Sorry, finish that thought.
That was just into the realm of the real and the ordinary.
Ah, gotcha. So, and so are you, these climate events, do you think these are, how often do these generally happen? These like severe climate changes, essentially?
The really big severe ones every 28.5 million years. The ones that cause major die-offs. But that's not entirely true, because there are mini cycles inside of that. We had a period 11,000 years ago that we are living in an ice age. Formally, this is an ice age that we're living in. And the ice age was a real ice age, with glaciers and things like that, down to Ohio. We were living in that state until 11,000 years ago. And 11,000 years ago, we caught a climate break. And that's when we invented agriculture. Although in this book, I show you that agriculture is a matter of plants figuring out how to employ us.
That's kind of Michael Pollan, I believe.
Yes, Michael Pollan took that idea too. You got it.
Yeah, I heard him. He was using it in reference to marijuana. Essentially, that's like the reason why we smoke marijuana is because marijuana essentially used us to cultivate it.
Right.
Because it
Exactly.
it was essentially like, here's something.
Yeah, in agriculture, we give plants the land, the kind of soil that suits them best. We stave off predators, so they don't have to worry about predators anymore. We remove competing plants. We call them weeds. We try to create a paradise for the plants. And the plants, if you doubt that the plants have suckered us into this, look at 125 million years ago. 125 million years ago, plants invented this process of suckering another species into serving them. Plants were sexual, and that meant that they produced pollen. And they would let loose the pollen, and it would go on the wind. And that meant that for every 2 million pollen grains, maybe one would reach another plant of your species. Those were very low odds.
Yeah.
It was not sex. That was highly wasteful sex. And then insects, these things that had mounted their own space program 350 million years ago and taken to the skies, these insects came to the plants to plunder their excess juices and to eat their pollen. And the plants figured out, in biological form, they did this. Hey, what if we employ these insects? What if we sucker them in to landing on us? We get them addicted to just our kind, and then if we get them addicted to just our kind, they will fly off with our pollen to another plant like us, and it'll simplify the sexual process. We'll go from spreading everything to the wind and taking our chances to Federal Express, direct delivery. And they did it. They did it by making extra nectar for the insects and making pollen that was attractive and building shapes, in the case of orchids, in which you to get to the nectar, you had to crawl through walls of pollen. So the pollen would coat your whole body. Most plants don't go to those extremes, but they do put up these massive displays in order to attract the insects.
Yeah.
And those displays we call flowers. They're billboards, they're marketing mechanisms to sucker flowers into this deal of direct express delivery instead of taking your chance on the wind. So plants have done this before, interspecies commerce. They've invented interspecies commerce. It's not a surprise they did it again 11,000 years ago. But we're back to the question about climate. So we came out of this ice age. We took advantage of roughly 1,000 years of lovely weather to allow the plants to sucker us into agriculture. And then came another ice age. So these ice ages can come with relative frequency. Usually when there is an interlude, like the interlude in which we have become human and built our societies, that's an interlude between ice ages. And normally those interludes last only 10,000 years. So we're 11,000 years, we're 1,000 years overdue for another big ice age.
That's not great.
No, but so I'm advocating climate stabilization technologies. Let's take what we're doing with man-made carbon dioxide, trying to get it out of the atmosphere, and let's use that as a step toward climate stabilization technologies. There's another one that I recommend in the book. It's called space solar power. You harvest solar power in space and you transmit it to Earth with a kind of harmless microwaves that this uses, your cell phone.
And that can transmit actual energy in that way?
Yep, can transmit energy. And if you do that, I mean, the sunlight up there, when we put solar, like I was a big advocate of solar, what we call terrestrial solar, putting solar panels on the ground. Back in 1981, I put together the first public service radio ads for space power, for solar power with JY of Styx. And he was the one who turned me on to it, actually, but then I became a fanatic. And but if when you lay out a solar farm, you just killed an ecosystem. And you have other problems. There are these little things that interfere with your system. They're called clouds and night. So your
it's not practical everywhere.
No, and your energy is very intermittent. And the grid needs what's called baseload power. Power that's exactly the same second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour. Well, guess what produces that? Harvesting solar power in space, because you can capture the light of the sun 24/7, 24 hours a day up there. And there are no interruptions. There are no clouds. There is no night up there. And the power source is so close to infinite, it's ridiculous. Far more than humanity will ever need. So we have to, and if we develop that source, space solar power, we can end the use of fossil fuels for power and transport. And that's the major source of greenhouse gases produced by us. But remember, sometimes greenhouse gases have been 200 to 2,000 times what they are today. And because those were days before we existed.
Yeah.
That was nature using those greenhouse gases to warm things up. So dinosaurs could eat grass at the poles or eat trees if that's what they chose. So we can take control of the climate. When we talk about rolling the climate back to pre-industrial levels, we don't realize it. That's not nature. That's us. That's a human choice. That's an anthropogenic choice, the very thing they hate. Anthropogenic interferences with nature. It's a big interference. And if that's what we choose to do, then let's do it.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to change topics a little bit. So I have a question, because it's you obviously seem to be you're a noted atheist, right? You're
right.
Now I have a question, because you're how old are you now?
I'm 82
years old.
Right.
So does the atheism, the older you get, wane in any way?
Well, for me, I mean, for most people it does, but it doesn't for me.
Not for you.
I will be saying fuck you to the way things are for the rest of my life. I have 2 more books to write, and that means I got to be around for at least another 10 years, and I have to be fully, my brain has to be fully together to write those books. Yeah. So I can't afford senescence. I can't afford old age. So I walk 8 miles a day, and that's just the usual fuck you to aging.
Because you have a crazy sleep schedule, right?
Yeah, because of that 15-year illness, to get out of it, I had to get very flexible. And what the illness was telling me, I had insomnia, crazy insomnia. And I had crazy hours. I'd be up until 8 in the morning, from midnight to 8 in the morning. You know, us techie people, when you're doing something like you're changing your operating system in your computer, that can take you 3 months of work, at least in the old days, in the 1990s. That's what it would take. So you end up being so fascinated with what you're doing that you totally miss your opportunity to go to sleep. And I had this crazy insomnia. So I finally flipped my perceptions, and said, what if your body is trying to tell you something? So I started listening to when my body really wanted to be awake and when it really wanted to be asleep. Discovered that I couldn't sleep 8 hours at a time. My body was not into that at all, and broke my sleep schedule up into 2 4-hour units. And then fashioned or timed those units so they would come when my body most wants to sleep, which is 4 a.m. in the morning until 8 a.m. and 11 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock. And when I adhered to that schedule, I've had no insomnia in the 27 years or so since I listened to my body.
Wow. And do you ever just like get tired at 10 p.m. kind of thing, or you just your
I
body
get
is just-
tired, but I have all these organic stimulants. Guarana, most people drink coffee. Guarana is my source of caffeine, and what else works? And what's this stuff called? So I'm going to try. This is the real deal. This is phosphatidylcholine, and then down here we have this thing called DHEA, and it's a mild steroid that you can get at the health food store. So yes, I take a lot of these things so that I'm up and running to maximum capacity from the time I sit down to work, which is around 6 o'clock, until I knock off work, which is 12:30, because I got to go out and take my 4-mile walk.
Sure. Wow. You take a 4-mile walk at 12:30 a.m.?
12:30 at night.
Yeah.
And my first walk is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I do 2 4-mile walks a day.
All right. I'm going to open the phone lines just because I imagine some people have some questions for you. The phone lines are open, 1-888-949-2969 if you have any questions for Howard. I had another question because you've been around for a while. You're an atheist. I don't know how much you track this, but so it seems like there's like a cyclicality in that people were more religious, and then it seems like probably maybe in the 90s, atheism was like more in vogue.
Right.
And it seems like we're kind of coming back to more people who are like finding religion. I'm wondering if you have any theories on that, because I think about it, but I don't have any reference for like why that might be.
Well, human culture is very cyclical. And wait, let me get a drink of water we'll take a lozenge. That's a better idea because my throat is all of a sudden getting sore.
I'll have water too.
So there's the lozenge. There's a lot of mystery to this, but the fact is that culture is cyclical. And it follows in general what evolutionary biologists call a fission-fusion strategy. First, you come together in a clump and you condense, and then you go out and explore new territory. In human society, you can see it in the economy. There are periods of exuberance, and lots of people are willing to spend on speculation. Speculation means somebody going out, trying something that hasn't been tried before, and only 1 in 100 of these things, maybe 1 in 1,000 work. And these periods of exuberance are followed by periods of fear. During periods of exuberance, we happily invest in all these speculative ventures because we're sure they're going to make us rich. In times of depression, we get fearful. We think that all of our investments are going to make us poor. We stop making investments. We come together. And guess what we do in these depressed periods? We consolidate the information we've learned from that period of discovery, that period of reaching out to discover new things. For example, in 2008, we had the CD crisis. These new bonds were being issued, documents that were based on the collateral of mortgages. And people thought, well, real estate, that's the most solid investment you can have. So if it's based on mortgages, then it's got to be solid. And so first these things ballooned while people were exuberant about them. And then they tanked when people were fearful about them. And so during the period from 2008 to roughly 2010, we came up with ways to avoid this kind of thing. And then we became exuberant again. I mean, people like Elon Musk are capable of doing what they're doing in large part because of the exuberance of their fellow human beings who are willing to invest in something, who are willing to invest in a guy who says he's going to do things in space and names his company SpaceX, who, as I said, has not even put a firecracker in a tin can yet. So Elon Musk's SpaceX, which has now, I think it's around 600, it's launched the Falcon 9 roughly 600 times at this point. It's launching rockets every 2 days. It launches 3 rockets a week. which something humanity has never had before.
Not to have them return.
Yeah, and it has them return,
Yeah.
which makes them inexpensive enough to do this. We've reached out. We've expanded our powers in this period of reaching out. We didn't have ready access to space anymore. Sending a thing up to space was a big deal. That you did maybe at most several times a year with the space shuttle. Well, SpaceX is going to launch more rockets this year than the space shuttle launched in its entire duration. That's 10 years or something like that. So, and then people get fearful. So religion goes through the same kind of waves. People they feel a sense of empowerment, and they are willing to be atheists because they don't think they need to cower at the feet of a god in order to defend them, protect themselves. And then they get fearful, and they go back to the ecstatic feeling of being in contact with a god, and to the fearful feeling that really the environmentalists have more than anybody else right now, a feeling you need to constantly sacrifice.
Which is it's almost a religion in and of itself, the environmental
It is.
movement.
It has become a religion.
Yeah.
And it's not that everything it says is wrong, far from it. But I have an article in the Journal of Space Philosophy that is derived from the case of the sexual cosmos. And it shows you how look, the biggest con in science is the second law of thermodynamics. It's a scam. It's a highly successful scam, because if you sit down with a group of scientists, as I do online all the time, they will lapse into talking about entropy as the most important thing in the universe. Well, I demonstrate in my book, entropy says that all things are falling apart constantly, and that the universe will continue falling apart until it reaches a random state, like a random mist in space. And that's called heat death. And if you go looking for quotes on heat death, you'll find them from eminent scientists like Sean Carroll, who writes about physics for the masses and knows his physics. And he has been bamboozled by entropy, this idea that started in 1865. Actually, it started in 1851, but it got its name in 1865. So I show you how this idea is radically, incredibly false. Because remember your first slinky and putting it on the top of a staircase and then watching it go down, and that gorgeous sound that it made if it was a metal slinky. And the entropists imagine the universe to be a slinky going down a staircase, constantly tumbling down. Well, that's not the way the universe works. If you took a video of that slinky going down the staircase and you ran it in reverse, that's the universe we live in. I mean, we went from a nothing to a big bang. A big bang was a rapidly unfurling sheet of space, time, and speed. We went from just an unfurling sheet of space, time, and speed to the very first things, quarks and leptons. We went from quarks and leptons to threesomes of quarks. And those threesomes of quarks weren't just threesomes of quarks, because they showed a whole property that you would never have predicted could have come from just threesomes of quarks. It was neutron and proton. The universe advanced. I mean, it was a plasma soup. There was no such thing as a plasma soup before. No such thing. And that plasma soup eventually slowed down. It was hot as hell, and eventually slowed down, which means it cooled, and it formed atoms. Now, is this a universe falling down a staircase of complexity, constantly falling apart? No, it's a universe constantly falling together in brand new ways that produce supersized surprises and material miracles, astonishments. First atom, what a fucking astonishment.
Yeah.
Who could have imagined such a thing? The first swirl of atoms, amazing. According to entropy, those atoms should be dispersing in a random mist. No, instead they come together in a giant social pattern. a giant swirl.
And now, would religious people say that that is proof of like an intelligent design kind of thing?
Yes, that's what they would say. It's proof there is a God.
Yeah.
And I say that instead of the second law of thermodynamics, we should substitute the first law of flamboyance, which is the universe is constantly stepping up. The universe is constantly breaking her own rules. The universe is constantly reinventing herself. Nature is constantly stepping up. Nature is constantly breaking her own rules. Nature is constantly reinventing herself.
Yeah. All right, let's take some calls. We have a bunch of calls on the line right now. Give me one moment, please. And we'll try and get to all of you. There's a lot of people on the line here. Please unmute yourselves promptly, or I'm going to have to pick someone else. Jeez,
it's time for bed.
Oh, who was that?
That's Alexa, and I can't get it to stop doing this.
I was going to say, that did not
When I
sound
asked
human.
it to stop doing this, instead it added another one, which you'll hear in approximately 1 minute.
Oh, okay. All right, I think
there you go.
There we go. Do we have our first caller? No. All right, let's try somebody else here. First person wasn't able to unmute themselves. Hello, you're on Low Value Mail with Howard
What's
Bloom.
up, Danny?
How's it going? You're on with Howard. Can you hear him okay?
Yep.
Howard? All right. What's up?
What's up, Howard? I just want to say, big fan. Been reading your book since I was 13, dog.
Thank you.
And what's your thoughts on dog evolution?
Dog evolution? Well, there were these creatures that sort of looked like hyenas. They're called hyenodons, and they were around before the last great climate apocalypse, and they were very much like dogs. But dogs, what a con. I mean, dogs have conned us into eating them, taking them to the vet at a cost of $350 a shot.
Oh, mine's way more than that.
More than that.
My dog has had three massive hip surgeries in the last 2 years.
And she's a German Shepherd?
No, it's a he. He's a Yorkie poo.
He's a Yorkie, and he has problems with his hips.
Yeah, he dislocated both of his hips.
Oh,
and
my God.
we're in New York City, so you could not find a more expensive surgeon in the world, maybe.
Right.
And the first
the animal
procedure
hospital costs a fortune.
Yeah, on the east side. Cost a fortune. First one didn't take, so we had to do a second.
God.
It's crazy.
But dogs, I mean, I'm so grateful that we have dogs. When a photographer decides to take my walk through the park with me, what they notice is I'm petting dog after dog after dog after dog. Why? Because I work in isolation.
Yeah.
I used to work in cafes, and then because they would stay open until 10:30 at night, sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning, and then came COVID. And now all the cafes closed down at about the time I start working at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or so. And so I go take my walk through the park. I pet every dog that is interested in me, and I collect all of this unconditional love.
Yeah.
And that unconditional love carries me through my workday when in fact I am alone in a bedroom, which I started to do because of COVID and because I have no cafes these days. So I'm working in isolation, and dogs are saving my life.
Yeah, it's kind of like the bees and the plants and stuff.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Yeah.
So dogs worked out this very, very sweet honeypot with us. And they do us so much service just by giving us love that it defies belief, and we don't even have words for it.
Yeah.
Unconditional love is the best I can come up with.
Yeah, it's probably pretty well said. Anything else, Drew?
No, that's it, man. Thank you.
Cool, thanks, buddy. That was Drew. Okay, let's try this one right here. If not, we will move on down the list. I don't know why these people can't unmute themselves. All right, let's try somebody else. What happens is I unmute two people, and then they both unmute themselves at the same time. Hello, you're on Low Value Mail. Who are we speaking with?
Good evening, Mr. Danny. Good evening, Mr. Howard.
Hey.
So is Dylan. Hey, I was, I guess, a little unfamiliar with you, Mr. Howard. So I was kind of firstly checking your Wikipedia, and I was looking at your early life. Do you believe in physiognomy?
Physiognomy? You mean as in feeling the bumps in your head?
Sure.
I mean, that turned out not to be an accurate way of reading a person's personality or brain, and that became obsolete about 150 years ago.
Oh. And I was looking at your book. I was kind of looking at some of your books. One of them, The Lucifer Principle. It says social groups select genes and human psychological development. So let's say, hypothetically, a group gets removed from a society about 110 times. Do you think that group is being selected as evil?
Well, yes. Look, there's a pecking order of groups, and some groups come out on top, and some groups come out on the bottom, and there is traditionally somebody on the bottom that everybody is allowed to peck at. In a pecking order, nobody can peck at chicken number one, the chicken on top, but the chicken on top can peck at anybody she wants. Chicken number two can peck at anybody she wants, with the exception of chicken number one. Chicken number three can peck on everybody in the group with the exception of chicken number one and chicken number two, and so on. And then so at the very bottom, there is chicken number, there's the last chicken.
Oh, sorry. We're getting some feedback from him. Go ahead. You just finish your answer.
All right. So that last chicken, everybody can peck on. And traditionally, for the last 2,200 years, there's been a group of that sort. I belong to it.
Me too.
It's called Jews.
Yeah, me too.
But
But then how are we on top? Because wouldn't that be the opposite? Because it seems like we're actually on top.
Right.
But yet we occupy the lowest rung in that scenario.
Oh, you mean Jews?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fantasy is that we control the world.
Sure.
And that
I do. I don't know.
Yes, right. Don't you make every world war and every economic catastrophe?
Yeah, of course.
So that's the fantasy, and you would think that would make us number one, but it's a fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
We make major contributions when Vienna took advantage of World War II to rid itself of all of its Jews. Vienna ceased to be a cultural center producing anything new. Having Jews in your population turns out to enrich your culture tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Albert Einstein, look at his contributions, but there have been many of that sort. Television. We have television because of the work of Team William Paley and several other Jews. The Jews who founded ABC, the Jewish guy at RCA, the head of RCA, who founded NBC. There are all kinds of things that Hollywood was invented by Jews.
Yeah, we wouldn't have this show right here.
Right. The guy who wrote God Bless America and other songs that we consider to be absolutely quintessentially distillations of the American soul was Irving Berlin, and Irving Berlin was a Jew who had been born in Russia.
Yeah.
So,
my dad used to always point out when we were in the mall during Christmas time that he goes, like every Christmas song is written by Jewish people.
Yeah. Right. And so we make our contribution, but especially now with the demonization of Israel, we're once again being viewed as evil by anti-Semites.
Sure. And are you like kind of, not to change the topic, but aren't you kind of like persona non grata in like 17 Islamic countries?
Yes. I was put on the punishment list in 17 Islamic countries. And then I got a call from Malaysia saying, would you please put together a program for us on reperceiving leadership? So I put together the program and I gave it in Kuala Lumpur, and every single person in my audience, every single, these were people at the vice presidential and presidential level of companies, and every single one of them was Muslim, and I loved them and they loved me. And then the Minister of Development for Dubai read one of my books. I mean, I was astonished. And he went in front of the Arab Business and Economic Forum, which he had co-founded, and said, there's a book that contains the future of Dubai. It's by this author in New York named Howard Bloom. It's called The Genius of the Beast, A Radical Revision of Capitalism. And he proceeded to read passages from the book. And then the Sheikh, who made Dubai what it is today, the city with the tallest building in the world, the Sheikh named one of his racehorses the Beast, after the genius of the beast. So I have appeared over 40 times on Saudi and Iranian television. So how's
and is that since then? Because this is due to, you wrote a book, The Muhammad Code.
Right.
Yeah. Which I guess it's somewhat similar, I guess, to Drawing Muhammad, where they just don't want you talking about it. Is that essentially what the deal is?
No. They originally tried to bring me onto Iranian television around 2004. And I kept refusing because
live via satellite or in person.
It's via satellite.
Oh, okay, you weren't accepting the flight to
It
Toronto?
is in person in their studios.
Yeah.
So in New York, but at any rate, I kept refusing because Press TV is owned by the Iranian government. The Iranian government wants you and me dead.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to exterminate the Jews worldwide. So, and then they called and they said, would you be willing to talk about the Israel lobby? And it was this book called The Israel Lobby had just come out. People were reading it all over the place. I was furious.
Yeah.
I was absolutely furious. The Israel lobby, well, I did a whole lot of research on this, but I suspected this to begin
You're
with.
talking about like APAC? Is that what?
Yeah, the Israel lobby.
They've become, it's all over my Twitter.
The demon. They've been demonized. So, and I love APAC. So,
you made like 10 of our viewers' heads fucking just explode.
Right. Well, I discovered that for every man, woman, and child in America, the Israel lobby spends a penny. And if you add all those pennies up, that's a lot of pennies. That's a lot of money. But if you look at the money the Islam lobby spends, for every penny the Israel lobby spends, the Islam lobby spends $12.43.
Wow.
So walk into a candy store with a penny and what can you buy? Nothing.
Nothing anymore.
Walk into a candy store with $12.35 or 43 cents and what can you buy? A hell of a lot. And Avenue K in Washington is a candy store. The government is a candy store. Government lobby is a candy store. So the Israel lobby is a way of hiding the Islam lobby. There are 58 Islamic countries, and every single one of them has lobbyists in Washington. And if you combine all of that money, I mean, look what Qatar alone has done. Qatar and Saudi Arabia. They bought the chair of the Middle East Studies Department in every major university, starting with Harvard. And that means that Middle East Studies departments no longer study the history of the Middle East. They are now propaganda departments, promoting the way of life, promoting the ideas of groups like Hamas. Outrageous. Well, but you don't have to go to Hamas to get militant ideas. Muhammad himself went through two phases. He lived in his hometown of Medina for a long time, and a lot of his teachings come from that period. And in that period, he said, it's our job to get along with other people, because he had to. Then he fled from Mecca, his hometown, because he thought they were about to kill him, the Meccans. And he fled to a small Jewish town where people had been friendly to him. And then he started raiding camel caravans. His wife was the biggest entrepreneur in the camel caravan industry of Mecca. She was amazing. She had more wealth than all the other clans of Meccans combined. And she had sent him on a camel caravan mission to Syria. So he knew the camel caravan business, and he decided to start hijacking camel caravans in order to pluck the wealth, to get the money that the caravans were bringing back from Syria. And the Jews who were housing him were unhappy, didn't like this, considered it immoral, and started writing poetry against it. So he started killing them one by one. And he established what became a military state And it is said by one Islamic source that he went on a path of conquest. He commanded 65 military campaigns. He personally led 27 of them. And it is said in Islam by Islamic experts that he conquered 300 square miles of territory a day.
Wow.
A day. And he said, do not take prisoners until you have made great slaughter in the land. Meaning, basically, do not let up on the people that you're conquering until you have terrified them through great slaughter in the land. Until you've terrified them so much, they will come crawling to your ankles, begging, saying they will do anything if you just let them stay alive. That's when you can take a place and make it thoroughly Islamic. And they did that with, well, basically, the Arabs alone have a territory 3 times the size of the United States.
Yeah. I always think it's so weird how like Indonesia and Malaysia are Muslim countries.
Yeah. Well, some of that was done through conquest. Some of it was done through trade.
Yeah.
One way or the other, the Islamic Empire is the longest lasting empire of its kind in the world. The British Empire was the same size, but only lasted about 300 years. The Muslim Empire has lasted 1,400 years.
Yeah.
At this point.
It's got some staying power.
Plus, the Arabs, long before, 400 years before Muhammad came along, the Arabs invented something very clever. They invented the black slave trade. They discovered that there was lots of ivory and lots of gold in Africa, but the most important thing you could do is capture human beings. And they worked out deals with the most extremist warrior chiefs to go out and conquer other villages and bring me the people. And then we'll take the people to the Middle East, and we will sell them as slaves. And they had this massive slave trade that went from roughly 200 AD until the Saudis finally outlawed slavery in 1962.
Wow.
Very recent. Yeah,
progressive of them.
But one
yeah,
thing, the Muslim slave trade in Black Lives was 10 times the size of the slave trade that the West had, which was monstrous, absolutely monstrous. But the West invented something the Muslims never did. They invented an anti-slavery movement in roughly 1750. And by 1802, slavery had been outlawed in Britain.
Yeah.
No other civilization on the face of this earth has ever invented an anti-slavery movement.
Yeah, I think I've heard that. There's a question from the chat. I don't. You might know what this is. I don't. But it says the Nazis literally are said to have used the idea of Übermensch from Thus Spoke Zarathustra, and you praise in your book the idea of the superorganism. And then it says, how is your relationship with Alex Karp, which I imagine you don't know who that is. But
I don't know who Alex Karp is. Who is Alex Karp?
He's the CEO of Palantir. If you know that company.
Yeah, no, I certainly do. So at any rate, okay, what was the question again?
Something about the superorganism.
The Übermensch. Okay, so Thus Spake Zarathustra, when I was 16 years old, was an extraordinarily important book in my life. I resonated to its frequency. But it was not, Nietzsche's Übermensch was not a person who went out and slaughtered other tribes. Muhammad was a person who went out and slaughtered other tribes, and the Ayatollahs in Iran have bragged about it. They've said, Islam has been forced to slaughter many a tribe, to exterminate many a tribe, in order to keep Islam pure. It's a horrible thing to say, but that was not Nietzsche's idea at all. Nietzsche's idea was about attaining Nietzsche said, most men live in the valleys because that's where it's safe. But when you live in a valley, in the morning, you do not see the sun, you're in the shadow of the mountains. And then briefly at noon, you see the sun. And then the sun is shaded by the mountains on the other side. and you live in shade. The Ubermensch climbs the mountain and dances with exhilaration on the mountaintop. That was the Ubermensch idea, not Hitler's utterly ghastly idea.
Sure. Let's take another call here. We still have some people on hold here. We got a few more. Thank you again for coming on here. This has been great. I've been really looking forward to this. We have, guys, unmute yourself, please. No. Okay, let's try somebody else. All right. I don't know why nobody's unmuting themselves. Oh, here we go. Hello, you're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with Jake from Detroit.
Jake from Detroit. What's going on, man?
How you guys doing tonight?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I had a question for your guest, Howard.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I really liked his concept of how the plants use us as a mechanism for their success and their survivability. And I was curious on how he perceived the start of man and how we came to be on this planet. Particularly, I was curious about how so many types of human existed in remote places at relatively the same time. You had the Aboriginals of Australia who were isolated geographically from the men of Africa who we were told that we came from.
Are you on speaker? Hey, are you on speakerphone? You're kind of in and out. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Question,
yeah,
Jake.
much better.
The rest.
Yeah, much better. Yeah. Continue, Jake.
Oh, okay. So pretty much, I was trying to pretty much ask the question of how do we as humans migrate from Africa, yet we have such a geographic distance between each other in our locations, and we have how can I say this in a more robust way? We pretty much have humans who were isolated from each other.
Well, what we're discovering now in early human evolution is that there were many human species. Many. I mean, we knew about the Denisovans. Now we've discovered another one that was reported this week. We're discovering these different species all over the place. And because of presumably, their roots were in Africa, and because of isolation, they were able to develop qualities that were different from the qualities of the other human groups. I was going to say around them, but they weren't really around them at a distance. And one of the greatest mysteries to me is that hominins, early humans, pre-humans, migrated from Africa all the way to China 1 million years ago. That's a very long time ago. And how in the world did they do it? And what were those humans? The Chinese are now producing more major scientific articles than we are. They've been doing that for the last 3 years. And they are actively looking into questions like this. But so far, I mean, when I was doing the research for the case of the sexual cosmos, I got varying dates on when fire was introduced. Fire was apparently used intermittently about 1 million years ago. 800,000 years ago, it came into general use. When it came into general use, it came into general use pretty much across for humans all across the planet, well, across the Eurasian continent. And how that happened, this parallel evolution of the use of fire, is a question, a mystery. And who those humans were that were inhabiting China, and were those proto-humans the ancestors of the modern Chinese? And there's a small island off the coast of China in the Pacific that had its own species of humans, and they were half the size of normal humans. They were like little hobbits. So we're just beginning to look into questions like this in science these days. And then the question of how humans got consciousness and the ability to speak That's a real big mystery, and fossils are not going to help us with that very much.
Terrence McKenna said that we ate mushrooms. Monkeys ate mushrooms.
Right.
And he said if it wasn't us, it would have been raccoons.
I see.
If it wasn't monkeys, raccoons could have eaten mushrooms and they would have become conscious.
Yeah, I don't think the mushrooms do the trick.
It did something.
It's something about the tripling of the size of the brain.
That too. Terrence McKenna was.
So Howard, I was going to ask you: do you believe that the Native Americans are a distant relative of the Chinese? If they
yes, they are. They're actually a
trade.
distant. They're not a distant relative of the Chinese as we know them today, which are the Han Chinese, who are tremendously racist. They are related to the Siberians, because the Siberians would make it back and forth on the passage between Russia, between Siberia and North America.
Yeah, which makes sense because they look similar. Like the Inuit in Canada, like they look obviously Asian.
Right.
Yeah. So it does make sense.
Thank you for taking my question. Thank you for taking my question, Howard. My final question, I guess it would be more of like a statement, but I feel like you kind of reaffirmed it, was I personally believe, and I have no proof for this, but I personally believe that humanity started in multiple places at the same time, potentially. Because we have so many remote groups of people that we didn't have, when was the first boat invented, and you have people located in Australia, like you said, the Pygmies, or people in, Papua New Guinea. And I don't know how we could have migrated from there unless like humans existed in a time before continental drift. But I've always assumed that we did not exist in that time. So if we didn't exist in that time frame.
These are big puzzles and good questions, and we don't have the answers yet. We think we have a lot of them, but we're really at the beginning of looking at all of these different species of humans.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Jake, everybody. All right. Let's take another call here. Although this one is, and we're gonna wrap up very shortly. Where's the best place people can find you, find your books? Just your website?
Just the best thing to do is go to Amazon and type in Howard Bloom, and it'll give you all 8 of my books. But if you want more information, go to howardbloom.net or Howard Bloom, all one word, .institute. howardbloom.institute.
And you're doing your thing in your live event in New York coming up?
Yes, we're trying to set the date now.
Okay, cool. I'll whenever it is, if I don't have stand up that night, I will be there.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'll be there. You know what? We're just going to wrap it up here because the last caller, for whatever reason, cannot unmute themselves. I don't know why they can't figure it out. So that's been the show. Thank you very much, Howard. We did an hour and a half. That was great.
It's been a pleasure.
I've been looking forward to this for weeks. I appreciate you coming on. Shout out to Gerard, our producer, for letting me know about you. Appreciate it very much. All right, take care, everybody. New episode of The Bathhouse tomorrow night, 9 p.m. I will see you there. Good night.
I'm really a poet, you know it, all my shit heroic. Empathic abilities, yeah, my face be also stoic. Bleep, blow up, nigga, that just means I'm working. They see me as a leader, so that's why I'm Captain Kirkin. These tracks from the stars, that much is for certain. You can feel this hit if you up or if you hurting. I'm raising my stock, not talking my feet in some Birkin. Number Johnny 5, got a fucking short circuit. Bring the track to life when I spit phenomenal. When I hit, she feel that shit in her abdominals. These rappers make me laugh like comic view, they comic through. You know I got a ball out, I hit the track running just like Sonic do. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. They was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. And they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. Now we pulling up fresh on some flight shit. Ha. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. They was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. Then they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah. I'm pulling up fresh.